What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a random stream. I didn't have time this week to try to put anything together like I like to each week, but figured I'd at least check in, see what's going on. There's obviously been usual drama and virtue signaling in the indie space, and a lot of grown men still complaining about Snow White. And yeah, the last video I was actually able to do was that fun little satire piece that ironically a lot of people didn't catch was satire. But that was it made me happy that people were mad at how I was acting. Because yeah, people should be just annoyed and calling out such people. But it's crazy that I made such obvious jokes and digs in that, and so many people actually believed I was being serious. And that's the sad part of it is people are actually serious in that manner, and people are still gobbling it up and throwing these people all these clicks and super chats, and it's just absurd. So I might have to do some more satire videos in the future. I purposely didn't label it as, I mean, I put in the description that it was satire, but I didn't label it as satire because I wanted to kind of test it to see like how many people actually believe this is real, despite the obvious jokes in there. And yeah, a lot of people thought it was real, and so now I've labeled it satire. But it's just and it was great because JJ Trujillo had pulled it up during one of his live streams, and people actually were getting mad at me because, again, how sick of the zeros that they are, doing these videos and all of that, and just taking advantage of all the rage bait. And it's like I wanted to be like, yeah, thank you guys for feeling this way, but hey, by the way, I'm on your side. What's going on, Frederick? How's it going? So yeah, that's. I mean, just let's take a look at Ryan Cannell's YouTube, for example. Right, the last stream I did, I think we watched one of his videos, which was just complete brain rot, as expected. But let's see how many videos in the past couple weeks he's done just on Snow White. Let's see here. Why is this not working? Mm, there we go. So I don't even remember when Snow White came out because I care so little about it. But let's go back. Oh, was it maybe 3 weeks ago? There's just so many thumbnails. I don't understand how a grown man can care. Well, we know they don't actually care, right? But it's just like, can you imagine spending that much time making content, A, about something you don't care, and B, about a kid's film? I don't know if the guy has kids, but it's just like, dude, there's got to be better priorities in your life or better content that you can make. I mean, right? There's some great films coming out here soon. One of them being The Accountant 2. I'm obviously not shocked that people aren't talking about it, right? Because it doesn't bring them the rage bucks. But, if they actually cared about cinema and cared about content, well, then everybody should be, or at least, right, reviewers, critics, should be hyping up the fact that Accountant 2 is coming out because the first one was phenomenal. In my opinion, one of the best movies in the last 10 years or so. So you would think like people, these folks would try to talk it up, like get people in the seats to make sure that a good movie, or what's likely to be a very good movie, especially based off the trailer, makes a ton of money, right? No, no, no. Better to make, let's see here, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, basically 22, 23 videos about Snow White in the past month. That's almost a video a day. That's just so pathetic. And that doesn't even count, right, the multiple live streams I'm sure he's been on and that his buddies have been on doing the same thing. So it's not what a lot of people don't realize is that like it's not just one person that's doing this. It's a group of people all doing the exact same content with a little bit of a different format, a little bit different tone, but just pushing the same slop over and over again. And you have these viewers that are just jumping, right, from content creator to content creator, just consuming the same shit, basically, over and over. So they've probably watched 50 plus videos on Snow White as grown ass men. Or, you would hope they're grown ass men. But they care about films that much that they're going to watch hours and hours of content about something they know is not good or was not going to be good, right? Based on their values or beliefs or whatever. Just absolutely crazy. And they all do the exact same thumbnails. Like it's just copy and paste bullshit over and over and over and over and over and over. People just keep giving them views, giving them super chats. Like I would be so embarrassed if I mean, I'd be beyond embarrassed to make the content, right? But to sit there and watch it day in and day out, especially about a film that has no impact on your life. And it doesn't need to have an impact on your kids' lives because, again, as I said in my satire video, there are thousands of films out there from the past few decades that you can show your kids. If there was enough content for us growing up, there's more than enough content for them. They don't need modern content, right? We don't need modern content. Um, but there is still some good modern content. But how many of these videos look to be positive, right? They just won't stop. This is a joke. This is sad. This is bullshit. What the is this? Like, it's over for them. It's over for like, okay, it's over for two different I guess gaming companies or whatever in the same week, right? It's over for her. Holy shit, it's over for everybody. Oh, it's sad, but it's sad here. And it's bad. It's like a children's like a pathetic like children's rhyme, you know? Bad, sad, mad. Like, what is this crap? I mean, literally, look, they just pump out the same right here. This is bullshit. Well, this is bullshit. Like, how many times did they just use the exact same thumbnail and change the picture? And people are not smart enough to realize that this is all garbage. Oh, hey, this is sad too. Oh, this is bad too. Oh, wow, this is bullshit too. Oh, man, there's just so much sadness. Where's the good movies? Are you telling me in the last 3 months there were 0 good movies to make a video about? Nothing praiseworthy. Everything's bad, sad, can't stand it, bullshit, right? Like, not a single positive video right here. I guess maybe this one, but they're using Sonic to take a dig at Disney. And I'll be honest, the first Sonic I enjoyed. It was good, nothing phenomenal. The second one to me was shit. I couldn't even get through it. But of course, with them being non-woke, you know, culture warriors, or crusaders, they're gonna use subpar films, just because they're not woke, they're gonna push them, even if they're subpar. to try to use this content to counter Disney or whatever shit they're complaining about. Oh, more bad, more bad. Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah. Enough of that slop. But yeah, just unbelievable that so many people. I mean, look at this. Well, I took it down, but it's like they're all getting between 30 and 100,000 views a piece. And these are just people, again, they're rewatching the same ones over and over again. Then they jump over to one of the other buddies' content. And it's the same thing with the same thumbnails. Man, it's like I watched some of like Critical Drinkers videos in my 20s, thought, oh, it's kind of goofy, funny, whatever, right? But like I never ever watched these videos. If I did, it was like once in a blue moon. I was just kind of like, okay, this seems like kind of whiny crybaby stuff, but I just can't. It's unbelievable. There's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people just slurping this shit up. Absolutely crazy. Let's see what else has been going on in indie comics before we jump into the Superman trailer review. Well, per the usual, lots of virtue signaling going on. Anytime, even something political comes up, folks are trying to bring that into indie comics and use it to push their narrative, right? The main one, right? Late books, late campaigns, because some people just can't stop talking about these campaigns, even though they haven't backed them or they've gotten a refund. Like they're just so heartbroken that these campaigns are late, right? Um, and today's topic, of course, was tariffs. And a majority of people don't understand tariffs. They don't understand anything that's going on, around that topic. But some larger voices are saying, well, hey, let's take advantage of this tariff topic to take jabs at some of those creators that have late books. And so, how are they attaching that to their narrative? Well, they're saying, oh man, because of all these tariffs, all these creators that made products in China, they're screwed now. They're probably going to be in the red. They're not going to make any money. Blah 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 blah. Right? And it's like, do you not realize that tariffs change pretty much as frequently as the temperature outside? Just because there's massive tariffs today doesn't mean those tariffs are going to be there in a week, right? This is basically a game of tug of war, right? Especially when it comes to like the U.S. and China, they're going to be swinging their political dicks around basically until one caves or the other does some concessions and then they'll back off. We saw it with Canada, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be 25%, and then oh well now we've canceled it. Now there's none. And they just keep bouncing around. That's something that Trump does. He's trying to intimidate these countries. Right or wrong. Sucks for people's 401ks and the stock market right now, but we'll see what the long-term impact is. But my point is in 2 weeks, those tariffs could be gone. So to use that to try to push your narrative that, oh, all those late campaigns are going to be screwed, they're going to lose money. It's like you don't know that. It depends on when the toys or books are actually made, and when you're actually going to import them into the country. So it could, it might not, but don't act like it's a guarantee. Who it could actually damage, which they're obviously not going to talk about these folks, is we've talked about the virtue signaling around pricing. There are folks that just legitimately want to be competitive. They're not worried about making a profit. They just want to make their books as cheap as possible. And then there's people that do it as a form of virtue signaling. They do the same thing of like, oh, hey, all these guys are charging $25, but look, I'm charging 10 or 15. Like everyone else is overcharging you, but I'm not, right? Come to me. Some of them print in China. That's how they're able to sell their books so cheap. And these are the guys, some of these guys are also on the same side as the folks pushing this narrative around tariffs, right? And fighting late books and all of this. And so, like, that's also, it's ironically some friendly fire as well. They're the ones that are actually going to get screwed the worst, right? Because they're all about urgency, quote unquote, being on time. And so if these tariffs are still on during their timeline to print, they're the ones that are really going to hurt because they already have almost no margins. And then you suddenly your print prices are up 30, 50% or whatever. There isn't going to be a benefit to printing in China at the moment, possibly, right? Or they could get lucky, those tariffs could be gone. But again, this is one of those risks and that I talked about in the pricing video I did was if you print overseas, specifically in China right now, right, there is that risk of tariffs, obviously shipping damages, things of that nature, right? But if you are trying to be so competitive to the point that I mean, you could basically fall flat on your face, you need to reevaluate your approach. And trying to just be the cheapest one in the indie space or say, "Oh, I'm going to get as low as mainstream comics," and all that nonsense may not be the best approach. You need to protect yourself and you need to have a again, a smart approach in terms of margin, recovering your costs and all that. It can't just be as simple as I'm just going to charge 10 bucks because somebody else is charging 10 bucks or 15 bucks or so that I can be one of the most competitive in the space. You've got to take into consideration the value and costs of your artists and everything going into the book as well. But like, make sure you have a buffer. If you are going to print in China and countries of such, make sure you have a buffer in case things like tariffs happen. It's not just going to impact the guys that are doing toys and all that. It's going to also impact the guys that are trying to print as cheaply as possible. And they're using China as an outlet to do that. So, yeah. See who else is in the chat. So, Amazing Gaming Production says, I hope so. I don't want to charge tariffs to my US customers. Yeah. Yeah. And look, I think this stuff's going to be short term. We've seen it in the past. He did it in his first term. And again, it's just him swinging his political dick around, trying to intimidate other countries. May or may not be good long term. It sucks in the short term. And I will say from again my corporate life during the day that this gets passed on down the food chain and to the end user, which is going to be customers um, and consumers in the U.S. The companies are going to increase their prices. Now, yes, some countries or some companies can easily, depending on the product, right, can just change suppliers, move away from like a Chinese supplier, for example, and avoid the tariffs. But when you're getting into, oh, let's say med device, pharmaceuticals, even automotive, there's a lengthy process to validate new materials, new suppliers, and all of that. It's not something that most companies will just be able to boom, change to a domestic supplier and avoid the tariffs. No, they're then going to have to increase their cost to their customer, who then is going to have to increase their price to us. So in the short term, it's going to hurt in a lot of cases, but we'll see long term if it's positive or negative. But it will impact indies, whether it's printing, whether it's making toys, you name it. But this is why a lot of manufacturers are trying to move away from China in a way, going to Vietnam, Philippines, countries as such that typically don't get caught up in the tariff wars, have lower taxes, things of that nature. Or Chinese companies will have plants and locations in Vietnam and those lower cost countries so that they can also avoid those impacts. So, but it's just sad that again, folks are using that as ammo to try to take shots at folks who are late. And it's like, again, we've talked about this at nauseum. There are people that are late because maybe they took on too much and they're going to adjust going forward. There's people that have been late because they or their family members have had serious health issues. People have had just major changes in their lives and all of that. And so like it's not just a simple like, oh, late book's bad, like go after all these creators. Like, no. There are some bad apples that never fulfill, that ghost people, right? But that's few and far between. We have Edwin Buzz Acevedo. How's it going, man? Everybody, make sure you follow him on Twitter. Keep up with his campaigns. Great indie creator there. We have Jimmy the Lumberjack. How's it going? We have Mikey Goetz. Welcome. Primal Gecko. Thanks for being here. And Christopher Bouchard. What's going on? And that's the other thing. We're seeing just more and more virtue signaling around the whole urgency. People need to be more urgent in releasing books. You know, more quantity. We need to applaud the people that are pushing quantity, and it's like urgency is not the best word to use when it comes to creating art. Like, you shouldn't be frantically trying to get anything done if your focus is around quality, especially as if you're doing the line art and the coloring. Um, but this narrative around like, oh, more creators need to be urgent and have a sense of urgency when it comes to releasing books, and it's like, no, like you need to get some experience so that you can set realistic estimated shipping dates, but um, you just need to have open communication with your backers, because most of us backers, and this is me talking about, coming from a backer's perspective, I would rather a creator be 3 or 6 months late and put out the best quality art possible than them just like, I gotta rush it. Sorry, you're gonna have 10 pages less, or you're gonna have a lot less detail. And it's like, yeah, but I paid so I could get what I anticipated, right? And again, a lot of cases, some of the folks that are later actually they end up adding a lot of page count and things of that nature. But I don't know, the whole quantity thing is just, in a lot of cases, the people that are pushing these narrative are just using it to take jabs at people that they had fallouts with, and they'll align with even people they don't like or don't like their books just to, again, try to damage certain creators or creators that are in certain groups and all that. But it's like, if you can make phenomenal books quarterly or monthly, I mean, that's awesome. More power to you. And it's more feasible if you're just basically someone that's just commissioning books. And that's the thing, is a lot of the folks that are being applauded for quantity, well, A, in my opinion, the quality isn't really there. The books are nothing substantial, but the only reason that they're able to push out the quantity is because they're not doing the line art. They're not doing the inking. They're not doing the coloring. They're just managing folks. If you have the money available, anyone can go and get people to create books, right? If you have the money there, you could easily have 5 projects going at a time, right? You could hire 5 different writers, 5 different line artists, 5 different colorists, and boom, you could have 5 books, right? In half a year. That's easy because you're just sitting there. Okay, I don't have to do the script. The writer's going to do that, and he can communicate with the inker. I gotta pay. I just gotta review. Like, that's nothing special. That's what managers and corporations, millions of managers and corporations do around the world every day, in day to day business. Like, if you're literally just managing people who are doing the creating for you, like, quantity is not that difficult. You just have to have the funds to pay for everything. And if you're just a writer as well, coming again from my perspective as a writer and other writers that I know, it doesn't take a ton of time to write a comic script, right? Even if you have a full-time job during the day and all that, you can pump out a comic script in a reasonable amount of time. Or if you're like a perfectionist, then what you're going to do is you're going to slowly make that script. You're going to continuously go back, make edits, and make sure that as a page is being worked on or as you're approaching that page, in regards to getting line art done, you make sure that those are exactly how you want them to be, and then add some right on the back end, and just keep making your script longer and longer, but keep going back, perfecting as much as you can, then going forward, going back, right? That way, it's not just like, I have the whole thing done here, go create. Like, I do think there's some people that just they write a script and then they just pass it on and then they just let whatever happens happens. For me, I'm like I'll draft like a chapter, for example. I'll go back, make edits, I'll start the next chapter, but I'll continuously every week or so just go back and I'll end up making minor edits. And you have as much time as you need to make those minor edits until right the line art is done. And even then, you can make edits that fit the art better, right? Because the art might not always line up exactly with what was in your mind, right, when you're writing the script. So you may need to be flexible and adjust your script to that art because lettering is one thing that can it's the easiest to make adjustments, especially if it's done digitally, right? So, but if again, if a writer can commission a ton of different artists, then of course they can get many books out a year and they can just keep using the funds from each campaign if they're making enough to just push more and more books. What a lot of people are overlooking are the folks that are doing the line art on their own books or the line art and the inking. Some folks are doing the line art, the inking, the coloring, the lettering, I mean, the whole thing. And if you understand the difficulties of doing all of those tasks, then you would understand, like, I could see why it could take a year. I could see why it might even take 2 years, especially if you're working a day job. Oh, you're doing several hundred pages? Yeah, that could take some time. So you'll see the folks that are virtue signaling primarily around quantity are either folks that have never created a comic book or they've never commissioned a decent amount of art, or they're creators that they neglect to mention like, oh yeah, I'm not doing any of the line art, I'm just commissioning everything, but it's convenient for them to just be like, oh yeah, look at me, I made all these books in a year, and it's like, okay, cool. Are any of them phenomenal? Do any of them like really stick out compared to the rest of the indie space? Because if not, sorry, I'm not impressed. I'd rather somebody take their time, put out one fantastic book a year or whatever, than just get sloshed throughout the year. So, mhm, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd rather wow someone than them just like, oh, that was fun. Like, no, like it takes an extra 6 months to get that wow effect. I'm gonna take the extra 6 months. That's for sure. Mikey asks, how long does it take me to write? So it takes me a while. I mean, obviously the novels. So I'll start with novels. The novels took a long time for me. I wrote both of them over a course of about 5 years. Did editing throughout. I had the same process. I would, write a couple chapters, go back, edit a couple chapters, go forward, go back, just continuously make edits, make sure the connectivity is there and the flow. And then I did like a solid like year of editing. I worked with a writing coach because again, I was not in a hurry to get the story out. The only spot I initially hurried was the art before I did the crowdfunding and all that for like the first book. But I learned my lesson and was like, hey, yeah, don't rush the cover art side of things. You should take just as much time finding the right artist and coming up with the right layout and everything for that. So that took a long time because I mean, when you have a day job, then I didn't have a kid, and I was single for a decent amount of time. So like I could just leave work, go and write for 5 hours, like no problem. Now, lucky if I have an hour a day, if that, to write. But on the comic side of things, it comes and goes depending on when I have time to write. But um, yeah, my process is I'll do like a page and then I go back and I'll reread and edit everything up until that new page and then rinse and repeat. So I'm constantly going back, looking, for things to edit. And then, what I'll do is once I get a finished line art page, right, then I'll be looking to see like, do I need to make adjustments based on the art to make sure that the script, the dialogue, the inner monologue lines up properly. And so it's the writing process for me is going to take almost as long as the line art. I'm gonna constantly be going back. I'm also constantly gonna be talking with my line artist to see what he recommends to change and how to make things, the art and the script marry better. So it's gonna be just constant effort to make adjustments. I mean, I could write the draft quickly if I wanted to, but I just have more of a slow burn approach. And it's more the perfectionist in me where I just really, really want to focus on each individual panel. And until like I'm really confident in it, I won't go on to the next panel. But I'll always go back, review every panel multiple, multiple times. So um so yeah, it takes me a long time, but I'm purposely taking my time on this project. I'm working with an artist that is extremely detailed, so the art is going to take some time, but that's on purpose. Um, and so, but yeah, like I said, if I needed to just do a rough draft, I could probably make it in a week if I needed, and just dedicated time to that. But that's just not my approach really to writing. So nice. When you're doing something new, expect everything to take 4 times longer than you expect. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, writing a comic isn't writing a okay. I'm not gonna say just writing a comic is easy or anything like that. I think writing a really good script takes time and a lot of revisions. Writing a draft or an outline can be pretty easy and can be done pretty quickly. I do have that benefit of like, hey, the story's done essentially because of the novels. Obviously, there's going to be changes and adjustments translating it into a comic, but um, it would take a lot longer if I was doing a brand new idea and I didn't have any outline or pre-existing novels. So, yeah. Jimmy says, "You nailed it. The art and the story have to be in lockstep." Yep, yep, yeah. You can't just and I would love to do like a roundtable with some other writers in the space one of these days, just to listen to their approach, um, because I'm sure there are people that just hand it over and then they just kind of let the chips fall, which I can't imagine doing, or they're just like inflexible of making changes to the script or the dialogue or whatever post page completion. Where me, it's like once I get a completed page, I'm gonna look at it and be like, before I'm like, hey, go change this about the line art, right? Because that revisions can cost money, but they also cost time. And you want the flow to go from page to page, right? I don't really want to hold up the artist and have them go back. If the art looks really good, but it's just a little bit different than what you imagined, just make adjustments to your script so that it fits the art. Just be flexible and just, you know, do your best to work with the artist and make sure that they line up. So, Mikey says, "Well, the work shows BA's story was good. Love talking to creators." Well, thank you. I love hearing such feedback from backers. That's awesome. So Cypher's Basement said, "I wanted to say you did an incredible job with debating Tim." So it wasn't Tim Lim. He's the one that's involved in Common America. I don't know what Tim's last name is, but the Tim that I debated was a guy that just kept jumping into all of the comments of my videos and making these like novel long complaints about, again, whether it was CG or Eric July or whatever. And so I was like getting exhausted trying to respond. Like I don't have time to respond to all these comments, but I try to respond to everything. Just completionist, in me. But so I was just like, dude, you just want to debate. And I've had a couple people that would just constantly, comment or troll, and they accepted the debate. And the Tim one was that was fun. That was funny, especially with the drummer boy in the background. That was completely unexpected and hilarious. So anyone that hasn't seen that, I think I have a debate playlist. Go check that out. It's the first one. It's lengthy, but it's funny. Oh, I shouldn't have taken a drink when I was about to laugh. Yeah, that's quite the that would be a very, very difficult story to outline. Guy gets disrespected, hates being disrespected, and just constantly goes and fights because he's disrespected. That's deep. That's deep. Skeleton Corpse, welcome. Hey, man. I'm the same way. I agonize over each and every word in the panel description, in every panel description and word balloon. It can take me a year to write a graphic novel size script. First book impressions are critical. Yep, I'm the same way. Like I'm analyzing, over analyzing every word, every sentence, and then I'll go back and I'll read it, and it's either like, "Yep, that hits perfect," or you're like, I don't know, gonna highlight that, gonna think on it. Other things too is and I've mentioned this in previous streams. How's it going, Katie? Thanks for being here. Um, when it was the same way when I was reading, not writing novels, right? Constantly consuming, okay, content, watching movies, listening to music, just consuming every medium, right? And so, what I'm doing now specifically, obviously, is focusing on studying comics. So I'm not just reading them for fun. I'm going back and reading them in detail and just studying, right, how the masters, like Frank Miller, created their books. And then I'll get inspired by some dialogue or some inner monologue, and something will spark on one of my scenes or panels, and then I'll go back and boom, improved that scene, that panel. And that I found that happen so many times. I've went back and watched, some of the most impactful films on my life in regards to writing. Films that I just kept watching when I was writing the novels, for example, and it would give me ideas on like, I should change the perspective of that panel, or I should change like the camera angle, things of that nature, and just get some inspiration for some of the dialogue. So as you're consuming and studying, you just continuously get ideas to go back and make adjustments versus just like, nope, this script is done, pass it over on to the next one. For me, it's like, nope, until this thing is fully, drawn, lettered, edited, and like I just feel fantastic about it. Like I'm never done. It's always in process. It's always in draft mode, essentially. So what's going on, Liam? Thanks for being here. Yep, and Amazing Gaming Productions. He has a blog. He also writes novels, so that guys can definitely check him out on Twitter. He's got stuff on Amazon and everything. So yeah, he knows the pain of writing novels. That's for sure. So Jimmy says EBS had those deleted scenes from Wrecked Planet. The pages were completed, but the story needed revisions. I believe it was like a total of 12 pages. That's like 2 or 3 weeks work that never made it. And yeah, I mean that's money too. I mean, he's fortunate enough to have that amazing ability to do line art and inking. But for a writer, if you actually had pages that you're like, man, just I'm gonna hold on to these, or you don't publish them, like that's difficult. And that's why I'm just not in a hurry. I don't want to risk being in that position. So just being in constant content with or contact with my line artist will help prevent such scenarios. All right, so I guess let's check out this Superman trailer here. I have not watched it yet. Um, just saw maybe like 2 hours ago that they had released it. Not excited at all about this film. I've talked about that previously in the previous like teaser trailer reactions, but this one is it actually 4 minutes long? Wow. Okay, well, let's do a lengthy reaction to this one. I know. Why don't we just really study how Snow White has ruined all of our childhoods, and that even though it's a child's movie, that it impacts every man and woman on this planet, and that we all should hate Disney because they hate us. Ugh. Anyways, all right, let me share my screen here. Superman official sneak peek clip. So obviously, this is to do a reaction, give some commentary. So hopefully, there'll be no copyright issues. Typically, they let you talk about the trailers. So let me know if there's any audio issues, but let's check this out. All right, volume up. Okay. A weird couple transitions. Again, that costume is horrible. Like he's literally wearing boy shorts that are baggy. Like, look, you have a budget of several hundred million, right? There is absolutely no excuse to not have the best costume possible. This is horrible compared to the Man of Steel costume. It's horrible compared to the Batfleck costume. Like, how are you not able to hire someone to get something that at least showed off? I mean, he is a muscular guy. He's not like he's just like bulky, but it's like this does not make him look super, and that is just that's horrible. Like, I mean, I'm not a fan of the underwear on the outside, anyways. That I think that is one modern improvement that especially Snyder did well was just like get rid of that. But this just looks really cheap. It's just like a blue basketball costume with baggy boy shorts. Uh, nice. I don't know why you would start a Superman trailer with this. Like, I sure hope you're not planning on this dog that doesn't look like any really other adaptations of Crypto, as being like your moment. Like instead of starting out with something impactful, Superman being super, it's like no, you have him being rescued by a tiny dog that is actually based on I think the what James Gunn's dog looks like. Like it's a self dog insert or whatever, but it's just like ugh. So is that supposed to be funny? Like, is the dog stupid? I'm pretty sure. Okay, it's the super dog, right? It's Crypto. He would have heard him, right, moaning in pain and all that. Do you think he would just be joyfully bouncing around on him and inflicting more pain? Right? Wouldn't a dog like sense like, oh man, my master's in pain, and he would be like, licking his face or something? No, he's literally bouncing on top of him. Like, I don't know if that's supposed to be funny. That would fit Gunn's MO, right? Taking a scenario like that and trying to throw some forced humor in it, but what the heck?
Oh, oh,
What the
stop,
hell?
stop, stop. Oh, stop.
Is he trying to be a chiropractor? Like this is not a trained super dog. What the heck?
Stop. No, Crypto. Crypto. Oh!
This is just awkward.
Crypto. Take me home.
I get you're trying to make him cute, but jeez. Can't sense what's going on with his master. How long are you going to make this scene?
Home.
So we only had to take him football field's length. Okay. That looks totally CW.
Superman!
Okay, really? Oh man, I paused it in the worst spot ever, but costume design, and why would you have that shot? Hmm. That's a long shot too. Like, okay, no one can complain about Snyder because at least he did that shot on Wonder Woman, which many appreciated. But this, no thanks.
Thank you.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it. We have no consciousness whatsoever, merely automatons here to serve. Meet 12. She's new.
He looked at me.
14 fractured bones.
Damage to bladder,
This
kidney,
is really
large
corny.
intestine, lungs.
With a healthy dose of yellow
You're right,
sun,
he is.
we'll have you up and at 'em in no time.
Level 4?
292 times Saharan Prime, please one.
Okay, so I saw a comment about this on Twitter, and I have to 100% agree. So they're obviously magnifying, right, the impact of the sun. Why is he acting like it's causing him pain? Wouldn't it be causing relief, right? Wouldn't it feel good? Like, it's weird. Maybe you could have started the trailer with that. That's a little more Superman, even though it looks like he could have broke her neck.
He's back.
I still can't get over. So they took, okay, this is like Yaira level trailer quality. Like, they just took over 3 minutes just to show him going to the Fortress of Solitude to get sun magnified on him. Like, that was it. And then one quick little action scene of him saving that girl. And then just a quick little, oh, hey, hot girl, the horrible costume. And I just can't get over the farm. That's not what a Kent farm would look like. I'm sorry, that's not what farms look like. That's like someone that has what, maybe 20 cattle roaming their property. Like a Kent farm is supposed to be like, a two-story classic American farmhouse with a big red barn. This is just like an old looking ranch house with a couple cattle. Like, it's like He's purposely trying to make certain aspects so much different from Snyderverse, from Smallville, right? From all the other adaptations, just to be unique, which is what people complained about Snyder, ironically. But at least Snyder kept a classic farmhouse look, right? With a barn, just traditional farm, the traditional farm area. This this looks horrible. Like, and yes, I take it a little personally because I grew up on a farm. There are thousands of farms all over America that they could have chosen to film this, and this is what they picked. Jeez, and that's Pa Kent. Come on, you went from Kevin Costner, from I'm drawing a blank, but the guy from Dukes of Hazzard, right? That was in Smallville. To that, like, okay, I get it. Like, he's gonna have a heart attack, and you're trying to fit that, but like, typically, I think it would be better to have like a strong Pa Kent that's in good shape. Like, a lot of farmers are in good shape because they work their asses off their whole lives. But this does not look, yeah, John Snyder. Thank you, Jimmy. Like, it's just, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, you missed the broccoli hair. The music isn't even that inspiring either. Like, again, you have people like Hans Zimmer, and you have Junkie XL, and so many awesome composers. Like, this does not feel like powerful music. Superman. Yeah. Crying Lex. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. I guess it's getting stuck. Yeah. I don't know. Nothing about that looks inspiring or impressive at all. Um, ugh. Like, I don't know. You have, again, I think the budget may have been in the 300 million range, and that's who you cast for Superman. So someone that doesn't have name presence, that doesn't have physicality presence, right? Nothing about that movie made him look super. There's literally no excuse to not have a jacked Superman in this day and age, or Batman for that matter. It just looks so blah. And that's what you're going to try to revive DC films with? Really? Forced humor with a dog jumping on Superman when he's in pain, and then, okay, he saves a girl. Oh, there's Lex Luthor. Like, what's even happening with the story? Like, there's no insight really into the film other than, hey, here's a couple of the characters that's in it, and there's a crappy farmhouse. That's true. That's what it looks like, right? Not a Kansas, farm. Whether it's a dairy farm or a crop farm. Like, Smallville was perfect. Snyderverse did a really good job at Smallville, at the perfect. I mean, Kent Farm. I mean, with the barn, with the house, with there's always like cows out in the fields. You could tell like he was a crop farmer. It felt very authentic. There's a lot of effort put into it. You're right. That looks like a house on the West Coast that has some cattle. Doesn't look Kansas at all. Yep. Jamie says, Podkent should have been a burly old man. There's no need to have him look like a model, but make him look like he could work a day on the farm. Yeah, I agree. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first Guardians, which so there's some digging to do into the backstory on that, but somebody else primarily wrote the first Guardians movie, right? He directed it. Um, but to me, like the second one wasn't as good as the first, and the third was just kind of fun. I mean, the forced humor kind of worked because of the characters, but I feel like he's trying to push that same like animal humor onto Crypto, and he's just trying to put awkward humor into a Superman film, and I don't think it's going to translate real well personally. But yeah, I mean, even the costume designs, all that they were a lot better for Guardians. So and he's head of the studio, so you'd think he would have some pull to make sure that all the right people are hired for all the different positions. But it looks like a CW project, which is crazy. It'll make money. I would not be surprised if it'll make 1 million, just like Captain Marvel, right? Um, just because of the name, but I don't think it's going to do well with critics, and I don't think I don't think it's going to inspire other films or put more people in seats for other DC products at all. Yeah, Naked Gun movie. It looks funny. Um, it's dry Liam Neeson, you know, humor, but I'm glad they're doing something of that nature. The slapstick, just over the top dumb humor. I miss that. The '90s was just glorious with Hot Shots, right? And the Naked Guns, and you had the airplane films like Leslie Nielsen, Charlie Sheen, all those guys were just those were films that just make me laugh out loud. A show actually, which is in the same vein as like Angie Tribeca. I don't know if folks remember it had the one girl from The Office, but it was just the same, just over the top, stupid humor where you're just like, "What? That's ridiculous," but you just can't help but laugh. Like, I'm glad they're doing stuff to that nature, but yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna have a Family Guy feel to it. It'll be funny, but I don't think it'll live up to the legacy of the originals. But we will check out the Accountant 2 film trailer because, again, the first one, I recommend everyone watch the first Accountant with Ben Affleck. Fantastic film. More people should be talking about it, and I'm extremely excited for it. It comes out on the 25th. There's actually a movie on the 11th called The Amateur, I believe it's called. It's got the guy from the Need for Speed film, um, what's the name of the TV show? Mr. Robot. That looks really good as well. So, but again, like that's the problem with all these content creators. They don't talk about any of these films that look good. They're not bringing awareness to any of them. And people should be because we should want them to make more money so we get more of those films, right? Right? They say they're about good films. They want good films. Why are they not talking about any of them? So at least I can bring some awareness to my viewers about the films I'm excited about. So yeah, I am. I guess I do now just because it's out of curiosity of who he's EFAPing and the things he's talking about. Because sometimes he ends up talking about me. Knock on wood. I think he's streaming now, which is why he's not here demanding an invite or a debate. But back in the day, he was well. Back in the day, I say pre 4 months ago. Like he was like respectable. He was nice. Like he would bring people on his channel that were CG. Like he just was like the I'm not CG, but I'll talk to CG like type. And it's like okay, that's fine. And we had a I had a real life friend that was friends with him, and so there was like some crossover there. And so he was always nice. And then he went his recent route, and now it's just like it's more of a I feel bad for him. I know why he's doing what he's doing, and I don't think it's going to help him. But yeah, I just doesn't make sense. It's too bad that He didn't take a different path, but it is what it is. It is. Skeleton Corpse says, I think one of the producers of the new Naked Gun is one of the guys from that Lonely Island band. Could be. And I know McFarlane is a producer. I'm not sure who the writer is. I'd have to double check on that. But I mean, I hope we get more films like that. But I would like to see more films like Hot Shots. Like those were top notch for me. But finding an actor that could do it like Charlie Sheen, that's pretty difficult. Yeah, Ballerina, that could be good. Yeah, for folks that are into John Wick. And I did enjoy all the John Wick films so far. So yeah, I think there's going to be, and that was the cool thing about The Accountant, right? There was some subtle humor that was really witty and funny. Again, primarily around the accountant, Ben Affleck actually being autistic or having, Asperger's or whatnot in the film. But it was so well placed. And I think there's going to be that same humor in the second one, but I don't think they'll try to force it over the top or anything. He may have been with some people. But yeah, I wasn't around pre 3 years ago. So there could have been a lot of drama and stuff that happened back then with him that I just wasn't aware of. So Niobe. That'd be hilarious if he popped up now. So let's see. Let's check out the Accountant 2 trailer. So again, purpose is to review it, give some commentary. So hopefully there'll be no, copyright issues or anything. Want to bring awareness to the film. So I'm actually trying to bring, people into the theater because I want this movie to make a ton of money. I want another one. I want more films like this. It's what we need. Oh, they maybe have a second trailer released today. Oh, this is a treat because I haven't seen this yet. So let's watch this one. How cool.
I spent years looking for you. Do you not miss me because of me, or is it your condition? I'm just me.
Welcome to the Boise Romance.
And Affleck was the perfect casting for this film. I like him in about everything he does, but perfect for this film.
Festival.
How are you?
I just love accountants.
That's a coincidence.
I like camping.
So do I.
I thought I saw an Airstream in one of your photos.
Yes, that's my home. That's where I live.
Oh, permanently.
Well, as long as I'm alive.
Oh.
Eventually, this body will be a corpse.
What do you mean you reverse engineered our algorithm?
By tokenizing your questions in an embedding matrix and generating a predictive model for the most effective answers, which I provided.
Good morning, Dreamboat. Could we discuss business now?
Go.
Do you like puzzles, Mr. Wolf? Ray King has been murdered. I need your help to finish the job he started.
Well, how does this all connect?
Most brains see a pattern that's familiar. My brain doesn't work that way.
And the nice thing about the first film too was it was one of those movies that it has you trying to guess throughout the film, right? Who's behind what, and some of the kind of deeper connections throughout the characters in the film. So it makes it, very engaging, and you can tell it's going to be very similar in this. Obviously for folks that watched the first one and know how critical Ray was in that film, you can tell that this one's going to have just some really intense kind of vengeance factor to it. So super excited about that. And there's a lot of good fighting scenes, a lot of good gun action as well for folks that are into such films. But it gets really gritty, but nothing too over the top. But just, has that Batman versus Superman, Watchmen vibe to it a bit, obviously in a different scenario.
Braxton, it's me, your brother. Can you be in California in 24 hours?
But just
He's an
call it.
awesome
How have you
actor as
been?
well.
Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.
But it's not your birthday. Birthday's November 11th.
Unbelievable.
Was your brother up to speed on the case?
So it's been a minute.
Braxton, thank you for coming. I'm really glad you're here.
Did she tell you to say that?
Yeah. Are you happy, Braxton?
Why wouldn't I be happy?
You're transient, you have no significant other.
Do what I want when I want it. Have gun, will travel. I mean, yeah. I think we gotta go get drunk. That was some dancing. Here in cowboy country, we don't mess with another man's girl.
You're from Glendale, Gerald.
It's okay. My brother wasn't having a good time tonight, but now he will.
Is there anything in this world better than punching somebody in the face who's got it coming?
No. Just shut the front door. You.
Hey!
We go over the plan again?
Plan?
Braxton. Thank you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm applying sunscreen when twice as likely to develop melanoma as adults.
Can I get a little bit of this?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
So yeah, recommend folks that haven't watched the first one. I mean, you're in for a treat to be able to watch that and then go to the film or to the theaters and watch the second one. So I'm definitely going to be rewatching the first one here shortly, and then this will be one of the few movies I'll be able to see in person over the last couple years since having a kid. So super excited for that. So yeah, I want to share films and comics, of course, with people that they might enjoy, versus just focusing on shit like Snow White and Rage Bait and all that nonsense. So, yeah. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions or topics for me? Like I said, kind of a random stream. Wanted to cover the Superman trailer. Kind of led into talking about Accountant 2 as well. But yeah, just wanted to kind of catch up with folks a little bit. Wasn't able to stream last week. Ended up having to have a meeting, which is good, with my line artist for the first comic issue. So did a lengthy meeting there, going over some character designs and the script. So that was nice. And so hoping hopefully in the next couple months we'll have a sign up page going, have some art released, and also release who's involved in the project. So very excited for that. In the meantime, I'll keep chugging away on the comic script. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah, the trailer even for the second trailer is a lot more humorous and lighthearted than the first trailer. The first trailer was more in line with the first film, which was obviously a lot more dark and gritty. So looks like they will have some more humor. Hopefully it'll be well balanced. I mean, obviously there's a lot of awkwardness between the brothers and all that, and there's a lot of opportunity for humor there. But hopefully they'll really get pretty gritty when it comes to them trying to discover who killed Ray and who was involved in that, because they typically don't hold back, either of the brothers. I don't want to spoil too much because folks haven't watched the first one. Like, it's just so good, and the way they ended it and tied everything in. So yeah. So Mikey said, what's sad, BA, is that your Snow White troll video seems like it has the most views. Hate gets the views, I guess. And I wish there was a way I could find out how many people watched it because they knew it was satire and they wanted to laugh, and how many people watched it hoping it was real, and that I would be another shitty content creator just, pumping rage bait into their veins. I don't know. There were a few people in the comments that truly believed it was real, and they're like, thanks for doing the good fight. And I'm just like, this is satire. Thanks for watching. I know you won't be subscribing. And then you had people that, hopefully they still like me, that watch the film or watch the satire, and they're like, I can't believe you went and watched this. Why would you watch this? And I'm just like, it's satire. And they're like, oh, because I mean, some of the jokes in there were just so like self, deprecating that I was like, hey, this has to be obvious. Like, I'm making fun of the fact, again, in this fictional scenario, that I can't get a wife. I have no testosterone, and all these jokes that I'm tossing in there. It's like, okay, The Zeros don't do that. They're not that honest, right? So I had to be over the top enough that everyone would realize it was satire, but some people didn't realize it was satire. But yeah, just crazy. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna see it. Even if I had like a daughter or whatever, like I wouldn't see it. Um, and the thing is, I doubt it's that horrible. Okay, it's probably halfway decent to an extent. But the thing is, very few live action kids movies are going to wow me because they're not made for me, you know? I mean, the best, I guess, kids movie in the last couple of years that I really enjoyed was Super Mario Brothers, right? They did a really good job with that. I mean, it was suitable for kids, enjoyable for kids, but also for adults. They did a great job with that. And I think they could do the same thing with a Donkey Kong, right? There's so many video games that they could just rinse and repeat. And I'm sure they will, because right, that made a billion. You do Donkey Kong, boom, billion. If Disney was smart, they would be doing Gargoyles, as you can see up here, right? If they did, if they cast it right and got the right crew together, that could make a billion just off of nostalgia. The problem is, Disney's been bringing back the heavy hitters that are very kid dependent. Sure, you're going to get middle aged women that will go watch Snow White because they loved it as a kid, but they also, are busy. There's not a lot that are going to go to the films, unfortunately, these days. But something like Gargoyles, Donkey Kong, and all that, it'll put people in seats. But yeah, it's just I don't know. They've been remaking and doing so many live action films. Quality's been getting worse over time to where it's like it's no surprise it's not performing well. It is. I mean, nobody should be shocked, and for people to be saying like, "Oh, this is a victory," like, no, a victory would be them doing a proper adaptation or just a high quality film. That would be a win. Why are you taking your time celebrating over the failure of a movie? I'll give you a good example. Absolutely love the Snyderverse. Everyone knows this, right? It's obvious. I have all the action figures all around me. I'll just keep rewatching them every year, every 6 months, because I love the films. If James Gunn's Superman fails or does horribly, I'm just gonna be like, I'm not surprised. I called that and move on. I'm not gonna do a video. I'm not gonna do 2 videos. I'm not gonna do 23 videos like I showed earlier in the stream about it. I'm not gonna claim it's a victory. I'm just gonna say, hey, I think it's kind of karma for the studio. I mean, I would be happy about it to an extent, just as a like, hey, I kind of told you so, but I'd make a comment like I just did and move on. That's it. And hope that hey, maybe someday Snyder would get his chance to finish up his vision, or they would give Ben Affleck the chance to bring the script back that he wrote and was going to direct for Batman. But like, I don't know, I can just keep enjoying the Snyderverse films, just like people can go back and enjoy the original Snow White over and over again. They can show that to their kids. It's really simple. There's no point in doing a ton of videos or just pining over it constantly. It's pointless. Oh yeah, yeah. Niobe he was one of them that fell for it. Like, dude, you should know I don't do rage bait content and that I don't review Disney films or anything like that. Like I do my BA recommends or I'll show it like a trailer reaction, but it was like, how are you a near 40-year-old and you actually watch this, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, dude, how did you not pick up on the satire? Like, come on. He's like, yeah, you do rage bait content. I'm like, no, I don't. I call out the rage baiters. I like to call out things that I think are hypocritical. If I was trying to do rage bait, I would be doing the thumbnail that I did for the satire video, but for my serious videos or normal content, which I don't do because those thumbnails are embarrassing. And we all know who does all those. Like, there's certain people that do those. It's embarrassing. So Jimmy says the Metapause Mafia has that sweet 401k money to blow. I heard that's the only thing that blows. Don't forget to tip the waiter and hit the like button. Yep, true, true. Yeah, I guess saying his name 3 times didn't bring him in. We didn't get the typical agitators, which I'm not going to complain about. They usually just muddle up the chat and all the topics. But yeah, that's really all I had for tonight, unless anyone has any questions or topics they'd like to talk about. I think tonight folks can go check out the Jack Show. I think that starts at 11:30. I don't know if anybody else is streaming tonight, but I think Salty Draws was over on Michael Bancroft's channel tonight promoting. So, yeah, I don't have all the campaigns pulled up, but definitely some to check out and back right now would be Salty Draws is Silence Do Good graphic novel. So go back that on Indiegogo. We also have Phenomenon #2 by Patrick Quinlan, which is on Fund My Comic. So definitely go and back that. We still have Blood and the Sword 2 by Richard Ombre. That's available on Fund My Comic. So go back that. I know he's still crawling up there in the numbers. And we also have He Punk by Vasilis Lolos. So definitely go check that out. We have Spring Ball by Shant and Jetty, which is also on Indiegogo. And then, of course, Cash Grab 2 on Fund My Comic. And again, yeah, that would be, Cecil, which has the Jack Show tonight. And, but yeah, let's see what other comments that we got here. Mikey says, movies, TV, and comics have been around for decades and decades. No need to see anything new if you don't want to. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. People act like there's absolutely no good modern entertainment. They'll act like there's no straight white male leading actors. There's no, male action content. It's bullshit. Is there less of it? Yes. Does it exist? Yes. Talked about it previously. Reacher, season 3, fantastic. Perfect for dudes that want like high octane, fighting, just, vengeance, basically. Fantastic show. Been around for the last 3 years. This should not be a surprise. Tracker's another show that's really good. Good masculine lead. And again, you had The Accountant. Now you have The Accountant 2. Again, there's plenty of, standard male action films and male action TV shows. There's less, but it still exists. People need to stop acting like it doesn't exist at all. It's there. You just need to look. And the thing is, it's like they don't want people to be aware of it. Like, where are the positive reviews for Reacher from all these guys? One of the best shows to come out, probably in the past decade. But there's no videos on it. Why aren't they talking about that? Why wouldn't you want to bring awareness so that they get more views, they make more money, and they make more content like that? It just doesn't make any sense. Digital Maniac, thanks for being here. I don't think I've seen you before. It would be so cool to have a John Williams cameo playing the Superman theme, honoring Superman at a ceremony and telling him, I hope you like it. Yeah. Amazing Gaming Production says the heroic histories for Tales from Trinity City with some collaboration with myself and his Vigilante Creed universe will be available for download at the very end of the month. Very cool. Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that, folks. I have not. I need to pick up some of the newer comics, that's one I would like to check out. I've been so focused again on legacy work by like Frank Miller and Alan Moore and such, that I haven't been picking up anything new, but definitely something looks like worth checking out. Primal Gecko says, I love Reacher. Bosch is great as well. Amazon is really putting out some great shows. Yeah, and that I can't remember, I think it was a TV show that had Chris Pratt in it, about him. He was in the military, came back, and kind of similar to some of the other military sci-fi where he's trying to uncover some nasty business going on in the military and some of these op groups. That was really good as well. So there's been plenty of good TV shows over the last years. I mean, Peaky Blinders, right? I mean, that was phenomenal. There'll be a movie for that, I believe, comes out this year. So it exists. Just need more people talking about them. And you know what? If me bringing up Accountant or bringing up Tracker or Reacher provides someone with entertainment, then dude, that's awesome. Like that's what I want to do for folks, because some folks brought attention to some content that brought me enjoyment. But regardless, like there's so many great Star Trek shows and comic shows like Smallville. There's tons of content out there that could keep people busy, and no one's seen it all. So, and yeah, thanks for being here, Jimby, and everyone. I'm gonna let you guys go, but thanks for joining on this random stream. It's fun catching up, and yeah, we'll hopefully talk next week. So everybody have a good rest of your weekend, and God bless. Take care, everybody.